Distinguished guests, members of faculty, and my fellow future managers, a very good afternoon to all. Welcome to the third day of Conventus 2016, the annual management conclave of International Management Institute, New Delhi. I, Rahul Mathur, and my co-compare Jui Chabria will take you through this session of the Information Management and Analytics Club of IMI. This year, Conventus is structured around the theme Transforming Corporate India, Transcending Innovation Towards Strategic Sustenance. India today is in uncharted waters with never seen before growth in the business world and with the increasing number of startups, SBUs, and subsidiaries adding to the burgeoning number of businesses in the country. Innovation is no longer sufficient for any business to survive, let alone to be able to thrive. Corporate India needs to strategize its vision for the future with sustenance in mind. With a multitude of companies now offering the same product offered earlier by just a few, it's understandable that the life cycle has considerably reduced. However, this shouldn't be taken as an excuse to give up, rather as a challenge to overcome. All that needs to be done is to strategize the corporate world in whichever way it suits the businesses such that they transcend beyond innovation and enter into the realm of strategic sustenance. Hence, the industry should prepare for the long-term survival in today's fast-changing, constantly evolving market space. Before we proceed further into the session, let us have a look at the Conventus video.
The topic for discussion in this session is Predictive Analytics, Transforming the Dynamics of Business. The growth and prosperity of corporations in the contemporary world has become a function of multiple external and internal factors. Innovation is the key to success. Most firms have realized this fact and incorporate it in their business models in some form or the other. Consequently, the associated advantages that these firms enjoy have contracted. This calls for firms to rely on newer business models in sync with the present times. Predictive analytics provides the solution to transform their business models and improve performance. It is an advanced form of analytics which incorporates a host of statistical techniques that range from data mining, statistics, modeling, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to analyze data and to make predictions about the future events. Strategic information system helps companies apply metrics and analytical tools to identify and analyze the avenues for growth and improve operational efficiencies. As competition intensifies, firms increasingly feel the need to revert to business intelligence and predictive analytics to reduce costs, increase revenues, optimize business processes, and thereby gain competitive advantage. To give us more insights into this topic, we are honored to have with us five very eminent personalities: Dr. Shailendra Singh, Mr. Hilal Khan, Mr. Jitendra Panihar, Mr. Vivek Jain, and Colonel V.K. Verma. To give us more information on today's session, I would now like to call upon Gagleen and Naman, student representatives from the Information Management and Analytics Club, to make a brief presentation on the session.
A very good afternoon to the esteemed panelists, respected faculty members, and future managers. I, Naman, along with my co-compare Gagleen, welcome you to the IMAC Summit of Conventus on the topic Predictive Analytics, Transforming the Dynamics of Business. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
In this session, we are going to focus on how predictive analytics is rapidly changing the whole business scenario. But what exactly is predictive analytics? It is a form of data analytics that uses present information in the form of data to closely predict the future trends in behavior. Let us now have a closer look to it.
Some of the key features include building statistical models for analyzing data to estimate parameters such as growth rate and demand for various goods and services. Analyzing consumer behavior, as today consumer tastes and preferences is a constantly changing landscape which needs to be monitored continuously. Identifying market patterns for foreseeing future businesses, as every pattern has an underlying explanation. Visualizing the path to be taken. Predictive analytics not only identifies behavior and market patterns, but also gives a constructive direction towards implementing future business plans. And finally, to make the right decisions in business.
So, why do we need predictive analytics? The world is changing every second. A glimpse of this can be seen in this picture. In 60 seconds, the enormous amount of data transactions takes place, and it is not easy to really capture its effects. To comprehend this tsunami of data and to make sense out of it, we require the use of analytics. And to implement this to predict factors like risk and opportunity is where predictive analytics comes into picture.
Let's see how it can impact the industry. Demand prediction. What does a consumer buy? Why does he buy product of a specific brand? Improved pricing. Forecasting of consumer behavior, tastes and preferences, and using demand-supply model can help in price determination of a product. Strategic segmentation. In today's business scenario, it is very important to put the right shapes into the right boxes so as to generate leads across the various market segments. Customer lifetime value. Customers are primary, perhaps exclusive source of cash flow. It is very important to predict their behavior so as to generate lifetime value.
Predictive analytics finds its application in various different and diverse areas. From financial perspective, it can help lower a variety of costs, particularly unexpected ones, by detecting where underperformance is likely to occur. Predictive analytics is also applied to customer data to construct holistic view of the customer, which in turn will increase the sales and further leading to better future growth. Moreover, seeing the dynamics of today's business world, it is mandatory to streamline all the operational processes to meet ever-changing consumer demands so as to optimize production as well as distribution channels. Taking about healthcare industry, it increases the accuracy of diagnosis and helps in meeting the needs of public for medications as well. Another common issue today is traffic. Traffic prediction too uses historical and real-time traffic data to predict future traffic rate of a geographical area up to an hour in advance. Moreover, predictive analytics helps in better customer retention through delivering better customer experience.
If you deny change, you fail. If you accept change, you live. If you create change, you succeed.
With this, the questions for discussion that arise in front are: how predictive analytics can drive innovation in organizations? How will it help Digital India and Make in India initiatives? To what level will it reduce the risk in businesses? How does it give corporations the required competitive advantage for sustenance? What has been the impact of data analytics on online retail, defense, automobile, transportation and logistics, and pharma sectors?
We are sure that we all will be enlightened with the answers to these questions by the insights provided by our esteemed panelists. And now, we would like to present a short video which captures the essence of today's topic of discussion.
And now we would like to hand over to Rahul and Juhi to introduce our esteemed panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Gagleen and Naman. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our first panelist, Dr. Shailendra Singh. Dr. Singh is the Vice President Data Analytics at Delhi Integrated Multi-Model Transit Systems Limited. He has more than 18 years of accumulated professional experience in different horizons covering technology planning management, business analytics, industry research and development, and patent portfolio development for software organization. He has worked as Senior System Architect at Huawei Technologies and as a Chief Engineer at Samsung India Software Center. Dr. Singh is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and did his Master's in Science from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, and Doctor of Philosophy from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Dr. Singh has received Excellence in Analytics Awards for innovative applications of analytics for business solution in NASSCOM Big Data Analytics Summit 2015, held at Hyderabad, India. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Professor Chaturvedi to do the honors.
We welcome you, sir. Our next panelist is Mr. Hilal Khan. It gives me great honor to introduce Mr. Khan. Mr. Khan is a dynamic thought leader who is currently working as the Vice President and Operating Head IT of Honda Cars India Limited and has a deep IT experience of over 24 years. He started his career with DCM Toyota Limited and moved on to work as Senior Business Consultant at Global IT Options Limited before joining Honda CL Cars Limited in 2001. He has a master's degree in computer science from Aligarh Muslim University and has done his post-graduation diploma in management from Sardar Patel College of Communications, New Delhi. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Professor Prerna Lal to do the honors.
We welcome you, sir. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Jitendra Panihar. Mr. Panihar is a transformational HR leader who is currently working as the head HR at HealthCart and has over 9 years of experience in the industry. He started his career at Cerebrus and then moved on to work as management consultant for PwC and Deloitte. He has a post-graduation diploma in human resource management from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies and also has a master's in labor laws and labor welfare from Symbiosis Society's Law College, currently called Symbiosis Law School, Pune. His research interests include change management for large ITES organizations, large-scale organization transformation, and workforce transition for a global EPC organization. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Professor Himanshu Joshi to do the honors.
We welcome you, sir. It gives me immense honor to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Vivek Jain. Mr. Jain is currently the Chief Product Officer at Naukri.com, Head Naukri Fast Forward Business and Head Analytics with InfoEdge India. He has earlier worked with Adobe as Group Product Manager, with IBM as E-Commerce Research and Consultant, and with ICICI as Assistant Vice President, Equities, prior to joining InfoEdge in 2009. He did his BTech from IIT Delhi and postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Bangalore. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Professor Prerna Lal to do the honors.
We welcome you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our next panelist, Colonel V.K. Verma. Colonel Verma is a dynamic professional and enterprising leader possessing more than 21 years of cross-functional experience in the Indian Army in technical and administrative fields. He is an alumnus of NIT Hamirpur and IIT Roorkee with gold medals from both the institutions in BTech Computer Engineering and MTech Information Technology, respectively. He specializes in operation and maintenance of network operation centers, cloud services, communication centers, and delivery of IT services and security. Colonel Verma has been managing, steering, and motivating large technical group comprising of more than 300 IT and telecommunication professionals as a well-knit team in various assignments throughout the country in the Indian Army. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Professor Arvind Chaturvedi to do the honors.
We welcome you, sir. Our moderator for the session is Professor Himanshu Joshi. Professor Joshi is currently working as a full-time faculty in the area of information systems at International Management Institute, New Delhi. He teaches various core and elective courses pertaining to information systems applications and management. He is also involved in various research, training, and consultancy assignments. Professor Himanshu Joshi has done considerable work in the area of knowledge management, wherein he earned his PhD, developing significant understanding of knowledge management practices in Indian manufacturing and service organizations. He has been teaching management information systems, business analytics, and core IT courses like enterprise resource planning, e-business, and spreadsheet modeling, and developed his expertise in these. Professor Joshi is a solid researcher, an enlightening teacher, and a proficient trainer. It is a pleasure to recommend him for academic and consultancy assignments in the broad area of knowledge management and IT management. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would like to present you with a bouquet. I request Nilima Jain, Secretary of the Information Management and Analytics Club, to do the honors.
Without further ado, I once again welcome all the guests and request Professor Himanshu Joshi to initiate the session.
A very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, let me thank our esteemed panel for taking out time this Sunday afternoon to be part of this panel discussion. Now, what we have done is we have divided this discussion into three parts. In the first part, we would be talking about why analytics, followed by how analytics, and towards the last, we would be talking about what next in analytics, which is the next generation analytics. For each of these three parts, we have allocated around 20-25 minutes. And once we complete the discussion, we would open the floor for Q&A. So based on the thread of discussion that goes on, you can note down your questions, and we would take it up towards the end of the panel discussion. Let me start without any delay. The first part, which focuses on why analytics. Every organization has a reason why it chooses analytics in business. And depending on the industry, depending on the sector, the reasons may vary. We would like to hear from you what's your motivation, your side of the story as to how did you embark this journey of analytics? We can take up the question in any order.
Hello. So if I may start, I think we started the analytics journey in about 2008 as an organization. That's started with the objective of optimizing marketing campaigns, where we actually advertise on Google, and we were looking at cost efficiency in marketing campaigns that we were running. And then we actually went into optimizing our sales efforts, where we were optimizing or we are predicting which customers will actually be more likely for us to engage with, more profitable to engage with, more likely to convert. That's more on the B2C consumer side of the business. And that gave us substantial gains in some of those efforts. But those were peripheries of the business. And 2010, we started focusing, which is the center and the core part of the business, which is when a consumer comes in on Naukri or a candidate comes in, can we actually do something in terms of improving the experience of that person when he is there on the side? And that is something which has actually given us a lot of dividends in the last 5 years, and we have actually become much, much central to the business. Every single candidate who comes to Naukri experiences analytics in one way or the other. We were actually now personalizing the experience of the candidate basis behavior, basis profile, and every single candidate now experiences Naukri in a different way. So that has been the journey in the last few years. We have now done a lot more focus on the enterprise clients. In last year or so, we have now started focusing on the enterprise side, the recruiters who use Naukri, and now we are personalizing the behavior basis, the organizations, how they're using Naukri, and we are now, for example, if HealthCart is using Naukri, they can have a different view of Naukri in terms of when they do a search for candidates, they will see a very different set of candidates versus maybe someone, maybe if there is Honda doing a search on Naukri, their results will be very, very different for the same search, for the same query. Because we know that these organizations have different preferences, different biases in terms of their hiring needs. And we can customize behavior, customize the preferences for each one of them. So it's core to business. It has helped us immensely. So Naukri.com, we have gained traffic share in last few years. We used to be 50% traffic share 6 years ago. We are now at close to 76%. That's measured by ComScore. So we've gained about a good chunk of traffic share. And we continue to gain traffic share. And analytics has played a significant part in that.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be among all of you. It's a good opportunity for me to relive my student days. Coming back to this topic, I think analytics is not an option. It's a compulsion. If you have to be in business, one way or the other, you have to look for the analytics. And when I say compulsion, it's not a choice. So who is driving it? Am I driving it or you are driving it? The answer is that the customer is driving it. Business is dynamic in nature. And with that dynamic, there are changes which are happening in the ecosystem. And for my industry, that ecosystem starts with my customer, my suppliers, my dealers, and my competitors. And if I have to remain relevant in the business, I have to understand who are my customers, what kind of expectations they are having, what kind of buying behavior they are having, what is the trigger point at which they are actually buying, what kind of product they are buying, what is the size of the customer base for a specific segment, what kind of features they like in the car, how frequently they are using those kind of features. That's from the business point of view, from the consumer point of view. From the IT point of view, there are 4 keywords today in the market called IMAC: social, mobility, analytics, and cloud. So today we are talking about one pillar, that's analytics, but the fact remains same, that at the back end, something which is not visible to you, these 3 other pillars are actually determining and writing the journey of the analytics. And if we have to continuously offer value to our customer, we have to be predictive about their needs. And that prediction will come from data. In the second round, when we'll be talking about what? How? Then I'll be discussing that there is a gap between our wish and compulsion and the actual preparedness, because it is nothing but the representation of the data and what is required to actually have that data. So my take on analytics, why, is the dynamics of the business and its consumer who is driving it, not we. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Khan. Good afternoon to all of you. Yeah. So it's a good opportunity to interact with all of you. And the matter is predictive analytics, which is very close to my heart. So as a doctorate, I did my PhD in text information retrieval, which is a part of predictive analytics for text. So predictive analytics is the need of the organizations. Why? Because the organizations want to reduce cost of operations and improve expenses and this revenue, and how they have to focus the customers, which are the targeted customers. So these are very important aspects. So if I go back to my previous organizations, we were doing a project for GPS-based classification of transportation vehicles. So that was the project for Singapore Authority. So using the data, we have to classify transport vehicles, whether it's a bus or a car or motorbike, So these kind of innovative applications are, one can generate the solutions using the data. And how they are becoming useful for the country, because this data is very much useful to plan these residentials, shopping malls, which way the people are commuting, so how the authorities has to build infrastructure. So this prior information is giving a lot of insights to the government, what they have to plan, what should be the capacity of that infrastructure, so that the people can commute from one place to another place. And other side, the business operations, I mean the guys who are having shopping malls, so where they have to start, which place is good, and what kind of outlet should be there. So these are the important benefits out of the analytics. So it's a direct relation, how one can take the informed decisions to grow the business. So this was the example, and there are so many examples related to GPS data, which are really giving the benefit to the organizations, as well as for the consumers, the users, who are the end users. Because this information provides a lot of insights. So if I talk about estimated time of arrival, so this is the feature which is very much important, and now the people know this feature because of these Ola and Uber. You see, it gives the cab will reach in 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So this is the estimated time of arrival. So this is not predictive. This is just the calculated distance, right? But it can be converted into predictive once it will consider all the aspects of traffic, all the aspects of the demography. Then it can be converted into predictive. But still, this is close to predictive.
If we see, good afternoon to all. If we see Indian Army's primary role is to assert your superiority over enemy on a particular piece of terrain. For that, you have to place a right resource at the right time. Resource in terms of both manpower as well as the equipment. And manpower is in different kind of professional competence. Somebody is qualified in clearing minefield, somebody is qualified in establishing tactical communication, somebody is qualified fighting on ground and holding the ground thereon, let's say so-called infantry. As far as equipment is concerned, it ranges from tanks to personal weapons, rocket launchers, your Hepters, plus submarines, including your ammunition from different kind of equipment. Now, this requirement has not emerged now. It is there since the army has been raised. And before the advent of computers from 1938 onwards, we have been doing this kind of analysis without computers as well. Now, what happens to at a right, because you have to be ready at every time when that to against the adversary. So now the resource that you have inducted at one time, say human resource, it has a life of around, say in army, say 17 years to around, say 30 years. Similarly, the equipment which you got inducted at one point of time, say army buys, say in a piecemeal manner. So it also has a life and kind of defective patterns where it needs to be replaced over a time, so that efficacy of that equipment and manpower, both, they are maintained at the right level. In order to do that, we have been capturing data regarding equipments which are spread over various geographical locations, what are the defects which are coming there, which equipment has gone, how much mileage. So according to that, we predict that we call as a qualified for discard. Say next 3 years, so much equipment of this variety is going to fail or lost. So many accidents have taken place in that particular area. or say in a particular geographical domain, so much that people have been placed in low medical category because of various diseases which are outbroken in a particular area. So in order to have corrective actions, the predictive analysis has become a lifeline. It has been a lifeline over a period of time. Earlier tools were limited. Now we have more tools, and that kind of repetition activity of analyzing and maintaining that thing has gone up. Earlier we used to take around an annual affair when that automated processes were not there. We have brought down to a 4-monthly affair where we churn data pertaining to the entire 2.12 lakh Indian Army personnel strength, as well as around more than 3 crore inventory of the products that we have. And this allows our procurement agencies to make budgets of around 9,300 crores per annum to plan the equipment so that efficacy of Indian Army is maintained at the same level at all times. Another fact that comes more into that, the data that we capture is the security of this data. This is totally in contravention to the corporate where your security can be offset by insurance. Let us say a commercial organization, a commercial e-banking system. They can develop a security solution and that can be, say, insured for $10 million. So their losses are taken care of. Whereas losses in Indian Army is in terms of lives, in terms of your national embarrassment. So those cannot be taken care of against your financial security or any kind of insurance policy. So naturally, you have to build in more robust security solutions so that no loss of information should be possible in all circumstances. So with that kind of challenges that we have, and that is why we need predictive analysis in Indian armies.
Thank you. So the question that you asked is, why did we embark on the journey of analytics, right? So for me to answer this question, I would like to tackle this slightly differently. This actually coincides with the genesis of health card. Fundamental of analytics is data. And data is always mysterious. It gives rise to curiosity. Way back in 2011, we were also faced with curiosity in terms of a lot of healthcare data was available. We were also faced with a lot of issues and challenges in the Indian healthcare domain. That's where it all started. So when we were facing this curiosity issue in terms of what we need to do in terms of making change, in terms of making disruption, that's where we started looking at, okay, we need to come up with an organization, or we need to come up with an initiative which tackles all these problems and issues. So the way I look at this is, data is mysterious, and the reason why we look at analytics is because we want to look at change. We want to bring disruption. That's the reason I look at data. That's the reason I look at insights. That's the reason I look at identifying and predicting those events which brings change and disruption. Now, talking about that, HealthCard is a digital organization. For us, for someone rightly said that, it's a compulsion. For us, it's a way of life. When HealthCard came into existence, there was no sports nutrition which was available in the market, right? People were not having visibility of options. People were not availing those facilities. People were not even aware of these sports nutrition products. When we actually came into picture, we started identifying those products. We created a health store wherein people can actually come together. They can look at which is the right product that I need to buy. They had a visibility of what is good, what is not so good. There was a lot of transparency which was brought into picture. There was a lot of governance which was there, and people were more aware. So when we actually look at analytics at HealthCard, it is a fundamental way of life for us. Whether it is about improving consumer engagement, someone who comes to our website who has already placed a product in the cart but have not bought it, we can send a notification to this individual, let's say after 24 hours or 48 hours, saying that, hey, probably you have gotten, to make this purchase. This is the right product for you. Why don't you just go again and buy this product? So, there are multiple stories within HealthCart, which I can, share with all of you, and they are from multiple domains. Somewhere when I was going through the presentation, it spoke about where you can use predictive analytics. One thing which was missing was HR. Although, I'm an HR professional, so I was very carefully evaluating that as well. So, for one of the interesting comments that I want to make is predictive analytics can also be applied fundamentally as part of HR as well. Now, coming back to how we are making use of analytics at HealthCart, I will not talk about the e-health store side of the story because it is understood by everyone. That is the fundamental way of working for us. People come, they create logins, we send them targeted marketing campaigns, they come back again. If they forget buying something, we again remind that using predictive analytics. So that is fairly standard. I will not talk about that. There are other stories which I would like to share as a part of HealthCart's way of working. For example, not many of you know that we have our own products. So we are not an e-commerce organization alone. We have our own products which are manufactured, and these are branded by HealthCart itself. So long time back, we were struggling with a problem where there were internal transparency and governance issues because we are not a manufacturing organization. We still manufacture a lot of our products, but we were also trying to attain maturity on those manufacturing operations. And we were struggling with transparency, governance, how do we take that product to go to market, and then market was also behaving slightly different because of supply chain issues, vendor aspects, etc., etc. We were faced with this dire problem of our products not reaching out to the consumer. So there was a very, very significant shift in terms of consumers coming back to us and telling us, hey, we are not getting your products. And for us, it's a big thing. Consumer purchasing a product, but the product not getting delivered, it's a big thing, right? And we are in a business where consumer is everything, and the competition is also humongous. So then we started identifying, for what are the root causes of this problem. So the problem was not single-fold. There were multiple variables to this problem. One was in terms of supply chain problem because they were ordering and it was not reaching them. Second one was, probably the analytics was not working well. That's why they were getting faulty orders. Third was in terms of our factory and manufacturing operations and how it was linking with our CFA operations, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a whole lot of mess around it. What we started doing is we started looking at analytics as a solution. We are not a manufacturing organization. We started looking at data. We started looking at, okay, when do you produce? How much time do you actually need for this product to actually come out from your warehouse and go to the CFA operations? How much time does it take from a CFA operations to other operations? So we did a basic data, I would say, exercise wherein everything is there. You need a lot of collation, you need a lot of analysis. What we really did after that is, and we took a lot of inspiration from Walmart, because Walmart is known as a pioneer in the vendor-managed inventory, right? So we also wanted to look at, there are certain days wherein we have big sales, like, near Diwali, we have a huge sale which runs on 24, 48 hours. On other days, we have intermediate sales, and some days, we do not have too much of sale. So we also wanted to look at all these variables and also look at what are the supply chain problems that we are dealing with. Also look at the consumer engagement analytics that we have. We built an inventory management solution at HealthCart, which is completely predictive in nature. So what it does is, the moment I have clicked on a particular product, it gives an information in terms of, okay, I have already bought this product 4 times in last 1 month, so the probability of ordering this product is high, and the probability of me not canceling the product is also high. So what it does is, it takes the order to the CFA operation. The CFA operation also has a prediction ability built in the system. It goes back to the factory, and the factory actually says that, if my product is getting produced today, I just need to hold it for, let's say, 15 days, because in this particular month, the sale is not here, so this is the amount of demand-supply ratio which is there. So what it does is, it helps us navigate the entire situation beautifully. What it does is, it lets me take a very, very cognizant call on my profits, my pricing mechanism, my targeting campaigns on marketing. So, if you see this one simple example on predictive analytics has touched upon the entire business from a pricing, from a revenue, from a consumer to actually transparency and governance of the organization as well. So this is just one example that I wanted to share, which probably was not there as well. But I thought it will be very interesting to kind of share this example.
Sure.
Yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. So what is evident from the discussion is that as far as analytics is concerned, it's no more a choice, but it's more of a compulsion organizations have to go through. But in the recent past, there have been instances where analytics has not been able to achieve the objectives as they were desired for. In the past, in the case of automobile sector, we have seen a lot of product recalls because of compliance, because of quality issues. Similarly, in the case of urban transportation, we have, in spite of all analytics in place, we have been seeing traffic growing at an enormous rate. In the case of defense sector, in spite of analytics being there, we have been witnessing shortage of spares. We have been facing shortage of officers, men. In the case of online store, organizations have not been able to penetrate the tier 2, the rural segments, in spite of knowing that more than 60% of the internet audience come from that sector. So my question is to everyone, why, in spite of analytics being in place, why is it not working so well?
I think when you have this question, probably the back-end thought in your mind is that analytics is magic. Actually, it's not. I come from a Japanese organization, and for every problem, we have a very typical way of analyzing the problem, and we say that we have to do it why. So believe you me, if you are honest to this why analysis, the last why is always human, irrespective of the problem. And this is where I want to take a very, very funny example, and that is from the very starting days of my professional career. So I was not, lucky like those guys sitting over here. There was no concept of campus placement. And I have done my 6 months project training at DCM Toyota. And at the end of the training, they offered me a job. So as a formal activity, they said that at least you meet the general manager HR. So the gentleman, I was meeting him for the first time. So he said that I heard a lot about you. What kind of system you have developed in these 6 months? So I said that the name of the system is Personal Information System. So he said what it does. So I said it can tell you how many male are there in the organization, how many female are there who are achieving age of superannuation, say to this year, next year, how many are absent. So those kind of, simple data related, information. So today it's a very advanced stage, we call it analytics. So he said that, okay, can I see? I said, yes. I was having the system with me. So there was a query for knowing the age of the individual. So he said, okay, tell me, what is my age? So when you click that particular query, it gives you 4 options. Less than X, greater than X but less than Y, something like that. I don't remember exactly. So I put in his employee code, and his age was 0. So he said, this is the kind of idiot you are, recruiting. And that was the first day when I realized the importance of data. Your second topic is how The answer is the quality of data. If the quality of data is not there, it is garbage in, garbage out. And no matter how good you are equipped with in terms of tools, in terms of softwares, solutions, if your quality of data is not there, it's not going to give you right prediction. If a Panditji is not well read, what he will tell you about your future? So if this computer who is behaving as a Pandit is not having the right preparation at the back end, it's going to fall flat. And this is where we need to be extremely conscious. Because business analytics is a journey. It's not an event. The moment we try to handle business analytics as an event, it's going to create disaster for us. And hence, for an organization like us, I'm not very sure, I'm sure it's a similar situation for rest of the people as well, because the thumb rule of business remains same, irrespective of the domain or the vertical. So if the quality of data is not there, it will not give you the desired results. For any organization of my size, what's important is the first step is to have end-to-end transaction system, because that helps us capturing the data about my procurement, capturing the data about my manufacturing, capturing the data about my customers, capturing the data about finance. Then you are having data mining, which is sitting on top of it. It's churning out the data. And then you are having various statistical techniques, permutation, combinations. You may call it XYZ system or solution. That is determining the predictive analytics. And that predictive analytics, when driven from the right set of data for the right set of business case, because if you are having the data, but if you are not having the right business case, again you really do not know what are the correlating factors. So the right set of data with the right set of business case, that will determine how effectively you are going to utilize it. Then the third thing is the dynamic behavior of the customer. By the time you are churning out the data and driving it into some kind of analytics, the pattern in the market might change. And you have to give that kind of tolerance factor to your analytics. So you have to be prepared. It's always human. So for example, we are the first in the industry to initiate a concept called Honda Connect. That's about connected cars. So there is a dongle in the car that's reading the real life data. It's about your trip, how you are driving, what are your driving habits, when you actually brake too hard, when you speed like a rocket, where all you have traveled. It's very tough for me if my wife is actually watching me where all I'm traveling. But it's capturing the data. It's capturing the data real time. And that real time data converted into some kind of analytics can determine as to what kind of insurance premium I have to pay. Today in India, we are not having different kind of differentiating insurance premium for a same type of car with same kind of life. But in advanced countries like US and Europe, you are having that concept. So if the data is available, you need to ensure that the data is quality data and you have right business case with you. And I am 100% sure, irrespective of whatever you say, it will definitely yield the right results. Thank you.
Thanks. So right interpretation, because data quality is very important for data mining. But when we see, earlier we were used to have BI. And using the BI, we were also able to interpolate what kind of pattern will be there, because it gives the summarization of the data. And that BI was lacking with some of the concept to process petabyte of zettabytes of data. And even it cannot find the patterns within the data which are important for prediction. So if we will say predictive analytics is an advanced version of BI where we find the patterns. So solid foundation was there, data importance was there, and in BI we used to summarize the data so we get some of the results. But for data mining, but for data mining we need some of the consistent data so that system can learn the interrelation of different features which are important to predict for a particular business use case. So here data quality comes into the picture. And other thing is important, one side is the data, other side is the users. So as he was saying, Professor Joshi, that GPS, the traffic, because the data is there, but how it will be consumed by the users? Because when users are not using the applications, then how it will be benefited by the users? So applications are in place, but the number of users using that applications are very less. Because in our case, in DIMTS launch, the first application to hire autos, so that is Poocho, P-O-O-C-H-O. So this is the application where one can find nearby autos which is freely available and you can hire. But the number of users who are taking the services were very less. It was daily we get around the call of around 100 or 200, not more than that. So automatically the applicability, because other thing is the advertisement. If the organization is giving more advertisement, then the people get its visibility and they use it. So this is the other factor to make solutions successful, technology successful. But predictive analytics does very good in our current organization. So the business case is how to improve the quality of the communication, telecom networks, so that the people will get good connectivity of the calls, and the quality of voice quality and the data quality of calls, it should be good. So here we build a solution for network KPI degradation. But again, one solution cannot run for all the region, because it needs to be developed separate solution for separate regions. But as a solution, as a predictive analytics, it is working good, and the accuracy was also very good. It's around 80%. But again, the question comes how the organizations are really getting the benefit out of these predictive analytics. Because this is good, very good to develop a solution where you can predict, right? So some of them, but in the industry, if we see, some of them they don't want to focus on those solutions which are costly. They are okay with the solutions which are providing static inputs, and they are doing some of the daily routine. So again, the whole system has to grow to improve the services, because one side is the technology solution provider, other side is the vendor who is using the who will purchase the technology solutions. So if these vendors are not ready to buy, then the picture will be same. So this is the two part, how the predictive analytics will be useful in the industry, but slowly, because this is not the story of one part, other part of the world is having different story, and they are really getting benefit. We will see the Facebook example. They are earning millions, billions using this ad, targeted ad. So it's the matter how you are planning or how you are developing the solution, what is your concept to become successful. Thanks.
So let me take an attempt on this. So what we really want to know is where analytics doesn't work, right, or where it fails. Let me try and tackle it, from a management and some combination of a technical perspective, although we have some technical experts as well. Taking this question from an organization standpoint, why analytics in an organization fails? One biggest reason, both of you have very clearly summed it up, is all about RIC, reliability, accuracy, and consistency of data. That is the fundamental of data and analytics. So one of the very significant reasons why we are not being able to have analytics capabilities built in organizations, or the reason why we have failed business outcomes, is because of RIC issues and problems. That's number one. Second one is, nowadays there's a lot of focus on data. Startup ecosystem is really booming. We hear digital stories, everyone going into the digital side of it, whether it is HR, it's finance, supply chain, everything is all about digital. A lot of other organizations have also come up wherein they have started looking at plug-and-play solutions. So a lot of organizations who wants to actually go for analytics solutions, either they have analytics capabilities inbuilt, or they have point-based solutions available in the market. Now, frankly speaking, I do not think analytics is a plug-and-play solution. It is all about living that journey. Someone really mentioned it is all about going through the transformation of data, analytics, prediction, and then impacting business outcomes. So it is not just about that, I have a system or I have a technology which needs to be implemented. So the focus has to really shift from implementing systems or implementing technology to learning to leverage that data and analytics. So that's another reason why I feel that organizations are failing to use analytics capability, is because the focus has to shift from implementing to leveraging and learning to leverage those analytics. Third is, taking personal example, because, I have been a consultant as well, and, I used to be on the other side of the table where I used to sell analytics to clients. Many of the times it is all about what sort of culture do I have in my organization. That is really very, very essential. Many of the times we fail to acknowledge the importance of, the culture of the organization. If I have a traditional manufacturing organization which is not changing itself in the market, or there is no significant need for the organization to change the market, it will continue living the same age-old fundamentals of data, which may not be predictive in nature. But I think what really matters is what is the culture of the organization. For example, if mine is a digital organization, the culture of the organization is we have to be digital. We have to be analytical in nature, whether it is in terms of the HR solutions that we are trying to build, or in terms of the customer engagement metrics that we are trying to identify. So the third very critical component is what is the culture of the organization, and does it incentivize or disincentivize the analytics capability? That's the third bit. Fourth is, and which I personally believe as a change management expert is very, very important, is what is the support that you have, or the buy-in, or the sponsorship that you have from the leadership or from the management on building those analytics capability. Identifying a problem is okay, it's interesting, but selling this to someone who actually runs the show or the organization, whether it is a CIO of the organization or the product guy of the organization, or let's say the technology guy of the organization, it is very, very important that they realize the importance of having an analytical capability in your organization. I might say that, I need an HR analytics in my organization because I need to predict why people leave. It may fall flat, once we figure out as an organization that attrition is not a problem for us. So there needs to be a clear sponsorship. There needs to be a clear support from people who are actually at the helm of it. That's the fourth aspect. The last aspect to this is we look at analytics as a bottom-up approach. Something that I've learned based on my experiences is we look at the data and then we say, okay, right from totals, averages, and then we look at standard deviations, and then we start looking at, okay, where does it fall? And start making trends and analysis. To me, analytics is not a bottom-up approach. It is actually a top-down approach. Why it fails is because I do not understand and know what are my critical business drivers, and then I start looking at analytics. I look at data, what I extrapolate out of the data, and start looking at, okay, whether it is impacting business outcomes or no. It may not impact a business outcome. So if I present a score sheet to my CEO, let's say at the end of the quarter, talking about, okay, these are the number of people that I've hired in my organization. But is it correlating or impacting or even linking to the core business driver, which is about, okay, in how many days, or let's say in how many hours, are we being able to make an impact? So the reason why it fails is because there's no significant correlation between the business critical factors and the metrics that we actually track. So there has to be a complete alignment in terms of the strategy. My strategy is, I need critical talent people in my organization to stay. Then I should not be tracking something which is not of prime importance. And ultimately, this is not a big bang approach. We should take small steps. We should look at analytics as an evolution rather than doing a big bang approach, because it requires significant investments, efforts, capabilities to be built in a longer term. So that's my take on this.
Thank you. Vivek, do you also see a similar kind of a shift in mindset happening?
I think one benefit which I have is that I head the product organization as well as the analytics organization. So I can prioritize projects which analytics needs, and I can, both ways, I can actually do that. So that works for me. So I know the business priorities, and I can ask analytics to focus on that, and I can actually get things done on the product side which analytics team needs. And that's really worked well for us because that's something you need. You can't really have, as I think Hilal pointed out, the problem of insufficient data being available. So somewhere the data collection has to improve. And our data collection can only improve if product team takes into consideration what are the data needs to solving a particular problem. So for example, we will actually collect more data from users when they're coming on the site, if it helps us service them better or predict better jobs for them, right? So that is something which comes as the input from analytics team, goes into the product, and now we have started capturing that data. And it becomes a virtuous cycle. As we collect more data, we improve the recommendations and we find more gaps, and we start again working on the next cycle to improve more data collection, more better recommendations, and then the cycle goes on. But I think, as I think Jitendra was pointing out, being a digital business, analytics is core to existence. You can't really exist as a digital business if you're not solving the problem in a better way and you're not personalizing the experience for the customer who is visiting you. For us, let's say we get about 1.5 million visits a day, and every day you have maybe a mason, a driver, a software engineer, an MBA graduate, a CTO, a CEO, you have maybe project manager working in Dubai, you have a dentist working in Assam, You have multitudes of people visiting Naukri, and they have very, very different needs. They have very, very different requirements. So when you actually come into Naukri.com and then you say SA, now SA means many things for many people, right? So if I am not learning from the behavior of the people, if my system is not robust enough and real time enough, that I am actually predicting at that moment that what is the word in the mind of the person, right? And I have the behavior of the person stored with me, that I know that this is the previous choices the person has done. I have the profile of the person with me. And at the same time, I'm fully aware that the profile of the person can be conflict with the behavior. So the person may be actually looking for a change in career. He may have spent 10 years on oil industry, going from one oil rig to another oil rig, and might have done an MBA in between, and then might be looking to sell soaps and detergents in a FMCG company. Now, for me, the profile can be very, very dicey if I'm just relying on just the profile of the person, right? Because people come from diverse backgrounds, and their experiences accumulated over a period of time could convey a very different set of meanings if we just start doing the averaging part of it. And I may just quote one example, and it's a complaint we got from one of the person who used to be, who was a dentist. And she was actually working in an army hospital, but it was a civilian hospital. It was not, it is not really in the field, right? And her CV had very clearly mentioned civil. So a lot of occurrences of civil. And she was actually in reconstructing teeth. She was doing cementing, right? This is typically a dentist work, right? And we were sending her construction engineer jobs, right? So it is a very interesting complaint for me, right? In a way, it is telling me we're doing a great job because we're reading a CV, we are understanding the terms present in the CV, and we are sending jobs which are very, very relevant to the person. But it is missing the context. And that's what we worked in the last few years to correct that. Have we solved it completely? We probably not. I think one challenge which remains is some of the problems are really, really hard to solve, especially when it comes to text, especially when it comes to people's own experiences and lives. And when you're serving millions and millions of people, and their experience can be really, really diverse. And we're trying to solve the person for that individual. We're not doing any segment-specific solution. It's a individual-specific solution, right? So that's where the challenge lies. And we've been working at it. We've been building technologies in terms of understanding natural language, understanding semantics, creating libraries of designations, libraries of skills, correlating between them, understanding what organizations do, mapping organizations in terms of what kind of roles they have, designations they have, what kind of skills they hire for, and then trying to correlate where the most likely job opportunity for this particular person may lie. And then we have to be still humble enough to believe that we could go wrong, and the behavior of the person may supersede the profile of the person. And then you actually let the behavior take over, and you let the data which you had in the past lie low, and then let the behavior of the person dominate what the recommendations are going to be. So some of the challenges are really, really hard. But I support what Hilal said. Data quality is extremely important. Now, one way we have looked at solving it is using the app. How many of you have the Naukri app? If I can just, have you actually used? So one of the benefits that we got there is that if you enter your profile information, we change your recommendations in an instant. So if people can update their profile and see the benefits of it, they will keep the information current. And if users have to be given a tool where they can interact with, they can update the information, and they can actually experience the benefit of it. So they come back and they repeat, and then they provide a better quality of information as things go by.
So I'd just like to add. If you see, the heart of data analytics is in the raw data that you capture. So in raw data, there are 2-3 points which are very important. The first point is single source of truth. If the same data is held by two people or three people are feeding you the same data, you have to trust one guy and make him as the owner of the data. Let us say repair state of a particular weapon. It is being fed by the unit which is holding, or it is being also fed by the higher headquarter which is summarizing the information and giving it to you. When your network has reached the farmost point where the actual unit which is holding that information, you are able to collect it from that, you should make that unit as a single source of truth, so that data is captured from the right source. Another thing is that if it is possible to collect it digitally, like the example of dongle which he has given, but it is not possible in all circumstances, where sometimes the data has to be fed manually by the operator there. Now there are bound to be errors when an operator feeds in the raw data in the application. So if you can make it a multiple stage, like one stage is a data entry operator, another one approving it. Similarly, like in the bank transactions, you've seen there are two people approving it, one the clerk and other things. So your quality of raw data improves. Third is currency of that data. Say one set of data is coming from Lucknow to Delhi, and one set of data is coming from, say, farthermost corner of the country, say, Teju in Arunachal Pradesh, which will take some time because of either the lack of bandwidth available at that particular area. So you have to decide upon that data set time, that entire data set, say around 80 to 90% it reaches to in 4 months. So you align that time, and with respect to that, you generate your data analytics. So that planning of that cycle is also very important. So BI or analytics will not give you 100% correct results, but even if 80% results are available, you will be able to get business decisions. After you obtain that business decisions, it is how you implement to eradicate that. So there are certain other challenges which also involve, like let us say, shortage of officers in Indian Army. Now, how do there certain parameters, like I was also involved in selection of officers from various colleges. That was one of the initiative taken, that, okay, you go and pick up students in 3rd year and 4th year from colleges, so that motivate them to join Indian Army. So one paramount thing that we were looking for is that, that is guideline factor, is that mansa, vacha, karmana, you should be one. That means you select a candidate who thinks the same thing, speaks the same thing, and does the same thing. And these three things are very, very difficult in a person to find, because what he portrays should be the same person from inside heart. So that kind of constraints where you are limited with a kind of HR resource. Another is, say, where the training academies are there. In country, we had 2 training academies only. One is Dehradun and one is at Chennai. So when we analyze that there is a shortage of around 11,000 officers, and the attrition rate vis-a-vis induction rate, there is hardly any 500 people getting inducted per annum. So there was a need to make another training academy that has come up in Gaya. So the analytics which the decisions have given, it has actually translated on ground. Similarly, like the space that you said about. So that also the business decisions are available with us, but it's the kind of procurement process which is dealt by the government. It's so lengthy, 2 to 3 years, 4 years, that net effect when the actual thing materializes, the next decision is already in the pipeline, that you have to take decision on this. So it's a kind of a game where you repeat in a cycle. So accordingly, you actually maintain, even if your end state is 100%, even if your 80% state, your business goals are met. That is what I believe.
I think we had a fairly good discussion in terms of what goes behind, what is the process, and what are the key success factors as to make an analytical process a successful one. One of the other challenges that organizations face is in terms of, whenever analytical solution or a new process is being implemented, the management often poses a question, what would be the ROI? And that is one key indicator which defines whether the project gets funded or not. Right. Now, typically for any, IT implementation, this is typically the mindset. Now, how to deal with this kind of issue when we're talking of ROI, because again analytics is very broad, open-ended in nature. So how to deal with this question of the ROI associated with any analytical implementation? Would you like to?
Hello. So if we see, it's a organization thought, how they think. In case of Google, right, they developed the solution search engine. So they have not thought what could be the ROI. It would be the ROI is sample ROI, right? But they developed the technology for the use so that people can search, and there will be a lot of data on that. So slowly, once the system developed, then they thought, now how we should monetize this, right? So that is the approach, because once you are solving a problem, that is important, and how it is going to benefit to the end user, that is important. Then organization ROI. But now, I mean, many organizations, before developing, they think what is the ROI. So that's a different picture, because they want to invest what they want ROI. What will be the ROI? So in case of predictive analytics or any solution similar, it's not the predictive, any solution if we are developing which is innovative in the nature, which is useful to the mass, so at the end it will be beneficial for the organization for better returns. So I will say this should be the approach adopted by other organizations, as the Google or Facebook, they adopted. Because their idea was to earn the money, but as a new concept, as a new solution. And later they monetize in different directions. So at the time of building search engines, they never thought we will do the targeted advertisement, and targeted advertisement will be the main component for our business. But now that is the only one component which is giving a lot of revenue. I mean the complete revenue. And search becomes free for all. So innovation makes things highlighted and useful. So I think because I have seen in my earlier organizations, so they don't try to build the solutions because they see this solution doesn't have much return. But idea is to develop the solution, because this is the demand of the market as well as the future. Because if you will not know what is happening tomorrow, then it will be really difficult to sustain in the market. Because any organization, you say, you take the Apple, so they are trying to develop new features and they are taking the leading position, right? Others are the followers. So this is my view.
So my take on this is slightly different. See, if you are in business, you are not doing business for charity. So the ROI factor will always be there. Now in what intensity and what time it is coming, it might differ from industry to industry. So for some industry, it's a basic hygiene factor. For some industry, it's a good advanced solution. When we started our journey, today we call it IT or maybe something different, but at that point of time people used to call this department as EDP, Electronic Data Processing Department. Then with the new evolution, it became MIS, Management Information Systems, then to IT, then to Strategic Information System these days. So there are very fancy names. But if I can recall, in good old days, IT was always under finance department. So it was quite common a CIO reporting to a CFO. And that CFO is nothing or nobody but somebody, Mr. Agrawal or Mr. Rastogi or Mr. Gupta. तो एक तो finance का job ऊपर से बनिया. So if you will not ask ROI, who else will ask? So this is how we have lived through. But let me be very honest. If we are not conscious, we are not representing, IT or marketing or finance or purchase. We are representing business, and there is a purpose behind the business. And the purpose is to make you feel happy and earn money. If I am not earning money, it doesn't make any sense. So for some organizations, say for example, telecom or banking, it's the hygiene factor. Because it's part and parcel of their business, it's cost of doing business. So even if the debate of the ROI is not that deeper, but somewhere at the back of the mind, the debate is always on, and they are implementing business analytics system. The speed might be much faster than our speed. But even in our case, you just can't get away without talking about ROI. So if I have to implement a business analytics solution, and I have to do some kind of predictive analytics, I'm just giving an example. Say for example, it is for customer profiling, targeted marketing campaigns, understanding the segmentation. Then I have to tell very clearly that today, if I am having the lead of, say for example, 100 prospects, could be through web, could be through internet, could be through mall activation, could be through TV commercial. The method and meaning could be any. But if my conversion ratio from the lead to the contract, the people who are buying the car, say for example, it is 17-18%. With this kind of solution, I have to increase it to another 2%. So that 2% multiplied by the number of inquiries that I am generating is the revenue that I am bringing into the organization. So there could be many such drivers. So one has to understand his business very, very clearly, the drivers very, very clearly, and the end objective that he is trying to achieve. I am sure that he will always end up creating a business case for this. Thank you.
Yep. So let me take an attempt on this. I think this is a question which is not only applicable to this scenario where you are trying to build analytics in your organization. This is a question which is usually asked for any initiative that you are doing, whether it is an IT initiative, non-IT initiative. Let me give you a personal example on this. I am trying to build an HR analytics solution for an organization, for my own organization and internally. So I was also faced with the same challenge, or I would say question. Having said that, I personally believe that there are some functions wherein the answer to ROI is pretty simple. For example, revenue-based functions, BU functions, it's very, very easy because these guys already speak the language of numbers. So for something like conversion rates, if you want to invest in search engine or let's say Google AdWords, you know what is the outcome which is going to come, right? You may comment on conversion rates, itne se itna ho jayega, the revenue might increase from this to this. You still have quantitative figures for that, right? How do you answer this ROI question when there are intangibles involved? And that's where I would want to talk about my experience of building an HR analytics solution wherein the answer to an ROI is an intangible, where I may not be able to say that I will improve the productivity of an employee from let's say 60% to 70%, right? So what is really important is we need to really understand that there has to be a very, very strong business case. That's where it all starts. And the fundamental of a business case is how well do I understand the problems, the issues and challenges for which I am going to propose a business case. Because ultimately I am trying to solve something, and hence there is a business case development which is going to come, right? So the problem could be, there could be a collaboration issue in the organization, right? Digital marketing, or let's say technology, is not working together. There is a collaboration issue in the organization. That's something that I am trying to solve. That becomes an objective to my business case development, although it's highly intangible. Another could be, how am I, impacting the engagement levels of the employees in the organization. I may not have a pointed answer saying that the employee engagement level in the organization is, let's say, 50%. So if I improve the employee engagement level, that will significantly improve the productivity of the organization, will significantly improve the collaboration, the pride in the organization, and hence the brand of the organization, which ultimately is going to get reflected in our dealings and our behaviors with the consumers. Right, so the fundamental is always, what is the objective of the business case? Second comes, if I am being able to demonstrate the objectives of the business case to the relevant stakeholders, wherein I was commenting, on the previous question number 2, which was about garnering relevant support from the sponsors. It is very, very significant that I gain a buy-in from the stakeholders. My CEO should believe in why is there an HR analytical capability requirement in the organization. It should not be a feel-good. It is actually not a feel-good. But if there is money involved, there has to be a concrete, I would say, business case behind that. And the CEO or the CIO or the CTO should actually believe in that as much as you are doing. So which is about, for garnering the stakeholder, I would say, buy-in. Third is communication. It's very, very important that, I have a very clear communication, strategy drafted out for the post-implementation. And somewhere I was reading, and we often used to give this data saying that out of the 100% IT implementations or any implementations which happens, 70% of them fail post-implementation. I'm not very sure what is the reliability of that data, but we used to, kind of mention this a couple of years back. So it's very, very important that, I have a post-implementation strategy, or I have a post-implementation plan in picture, which could be in terms of what are the metrics which are going to get changed? What are the various, I would say, issues which are going to get resolved? And if I have been able to put that on the table beforehand during the business case development, that is where it makes a lot of difference in the minds of people who want to invest in that. I gave an example of the inventory management system. When we were actually doing it, we were not very sure whether this will solve the problem or no. But we were being able to share the information that this is what it will change after we have implemented the inventory management system. And I was anyways talking about that HR analytics business case. So these are the same approaches which I also personally followed, wherein I did not have numbers. I still do not have numbers to say that my collaboration will increase 2x. I cannot comment on that. But I can make significant comments in terms of how this will change the life of health card, how this will significantly impact the employee behaviors, because we personally now believe that analytics influences behaviors. True. Based on the data, based on the insights, and based on the outcomes that we derive. So that is typically the approach that I have personally taken on this subject, wherein there were intangibles involved in order to answer the ROI question.
So I think, as been pointed out by the panel members, every project we need to have ROI computation, and not before, just after the project, but before the project gets picked up. And that's because of the nature of the business we operate, and it's, the point you made is different businesses would have different perspectives on it. Our business data is heart of our business, and we just can't get away from it. Now that's obviously challenges us that before even we pick a project, we make a case for it. And The first thing I think I would suggest is whenever we're planning a project, break into chunks. And that's something which has worked for me. So whenever a large project is put together, there is always this challenge of whether it will get executed right, whether we have the right person who is available to execute it. How confident we are on ensuring that we will achieve success. So it is not just to put a project plan together. It is also depends on who is the person who is executing that project. What is the track record of that particular person? What is the skill sets needed to execute that project? Have we done similar projects in the past? What is our track record on previous projects? And what is the ROI we can derive from it? And it really works if you can actually break that project into smaller chunks and prove it at every stage that you are delivering value. And it's important to obviously have an executive sponsor, someone who is willing to stick his neck out and say, yes, I'll get it done, and I'll ensure success. And that's really, really important. Once we have that person fully behind that project, we know we can make the case and we can demonstrate the ROI. By far, analytics projects, if we compare to other IT projects, tend to have higher ROI, much, much higher ROI, provided we have done enough work to make the case, provided we have done enough work to collect the data and demonstrate the outcomes in a tangible business way. So my sense is analytics, by nature of the way it operates, tends to have one of the highest ROIs. So I can see some of the benefits that we achieved are humongous benefits we got. And in last 5 years, if I say as an organization, analytics investment would have generated the highest ROI for the organization.
See, in case of defense, ROI is not focused towards that financial goals. If you see, our core strength will be to position the right amount of resource at right time before our adversary does. If we can predict that he is coming at this point of time with so much kind of a force, we should be able to place at least double the force at that time. So all our analytics that we use is to position it so forward so that we gain advantage in time. So our ROI and focus remains the time advantage for that purpose.
Right. Thank you, sir. From the way analytics exists today to the kind of changes that are being introduced into the domain of analytics, let's try to move on to the last phase, which is in terms of the next generation analytics. We have been witnessing both in terms of tools as well as the application of tools, more innovative ways of using analytics. So I would like to hear from you in terms of your industry. How are you looking at analytics differently in terms of the tools and application? We may start from you, sir, because recently Google introduced the self-drive concept, right, wherein analytics played a very key role. So many others have followed in terms of Mercedes and Volvo, and many other automobile companies have introduced this concept of self-driven cars. So looking at Honda, how do you see the application of analytics changing?
We are talking about predictive, so it's very difficult for me to predict. But what I can say, analytics remain analytics. Now, how we are going to use it and how the source of data is going to change, probably that will determine the future of the analytics. With fierce competition in the market and rising input cost, be it raw material or human resource or anything else, the key to business is time. time of bringing new product, time to reach to my customer, time to procure. For anything and everything, time is the only thing that will determine and differentiate me from my competition. Now, keeping that in mind, we have to understand that what all are the sources of the data and how effectively we are going to utilize those sources of data. For example, Vivek mentioned that the data is coming from various systems and data is being input by human. Now, as long as we are trying to minimize this intervention, the quality of data will improve. That's the bottom. Jiten mentioned about the top. With this fierce competition in the market, the drive and the drivers both will come from the top. And you have to sense that if you have to remain relevant in the market. You may call it big data or business intelligence or predictive analytics or whatever. This set of data is going to determine the direction of your business, because this will give you speed to either react or proactively create something for the end customer. Now, for example, in my industry, the Internet of Things will bring lot of data to me. The PLCs will bring lot of data to me. The connected car will bring lot of data to me. The customer profiling and the mobility which is there in the market, that is a source of data for me. For each area, be it supply chain, my inbound logistics or outbound logistics, be my dealing with the customer or creating new products, the abundance of data will be there. And I have to find out the relevant data for the relevant solution. So that is how I look at the future of the analytics.
Thanks. So, if we talk about the methodologies of data mining, so predictive analytics is not new. It started long back in 1970. But now, as the tools are in the market, and these are the easy to use tools which are providing data mining functionality. So now it's easy to use and incorporate predictive analytics in the business. So if we talk about in my organization, we are developing solutions using open source. So as a data mining tool, the popular is R, Revolution R, and Veka is again a good tool which provides easy to implement, where one can get insights. And definitely the big data is very important for business intelligence point of view. While for predictive analytics, if you want to do the parallel framework, so that is Mahout, which is used to process data mining algorithm in parallel. So these are the systems which build big data analytics platform. And still, if you see, the organizations are, if we talk about SaaS, Microsoft solution, SAP, so all these are, earlier they were having limited library of data mining functions. But as the open source was growing, specifically R, so they integrated R and providing extensive library for the data mining functionalities. So now this is the time to use predictive analytics in each and every domain. So new things will come up, like as Mr. Khan was saying, IoT, Internet of Things is again a big thing where a lot of data will be generated and a lot of analytics application, predictive analytics application will be built. So these are the things, and further the cognitive science. So on top of predictive analytics, the people are thinking, because predictive analytics is the data, but cognitive science is what is in the mind of the other person, how you will think, how you will combine the numerical data and the imaging data to improve the accuracy as well as the better decisions. So, and again, and the third is the cloud. So these are the technologies which are started, and now it's the leveraging these technologies to improve revenues and reduce the cost of operations. Thanks.
In-memory databases are being talked about these days.
Okay.
In-stream databases. So
Okay. I think I'm just taking the cue from the previous panelists. I think what we have discussed earlier also. My sense is the bigger path forward is merging of information from different sources, and for us it is understanding a lot about people in terms of how they take steps in their career, understanding language. For us, that's still a journey. We've invested more in terms of understanding what kind of skills exist, what kind of profiles exist. But that's something which is ever changing in a growing economy like India. We have new roles emerging, we have new career paths people take. And that's something which we believe that we need to continuously learn and improve as we go forward. And then again, learn from behavior, learn from what they have done in the past. And the future is obviously real-time analytics, real-time predictions, and not something we do in a batch mode. Once we get interactivity, quality of data improves, and we have seen that. And that's something which I believe will continue to be the direction as we go forward. The next step we could take, and we have started taking baby steps towards it, is helping people discover and helping them in shaping their own careers, suggesting them courses, suggesting them learning opportunities while they're working, which will help them move forward, rather than just suggesting jobs to them. And that's something we have started work on it. We've started on that journey. And in a way, we want to help people find what is their aspirations and what actually excites them. But again, this is not something we have sufficient data on. So we will need to make efforts to collect more data as we go forward and as we build more capability. And then it's going to be a virtuous cycle that we're going to work on. We're not trying to solve the problem in one day. We know we can't do that. We know we'll have to take incremental steps. It is not by nature, analytics can't solve problem without data, and you can't get data unless until people use it. And people will not use it till you do a good enough job. So it is not something that you can actually collect data by just wishing that you have data. So you'll have to do a decent solution that people come and start using it. And that gives us that additional data to work and then do a better solution next time. So that is a virtuous cycle we'll have to build as we go forward in that segment.
At the moment in Army, we are using Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Suite for doing data mining activities. The moment every 4 months around 1 terabyte data is getting added to it, and we find that its performance has become sluggish. So we are trying to migrate towards the Hadoop distributed file systems and trying to use a big data mining software. That is one step where the technology advancement will be done. The second step will be the training of the human resource which will be managing this. because the tools are there in the hands of humans. If they are not properly trained, they will not be able to extract the correct analytical decisions from that. That's what we are doing.
So right now is a time where a lot of things are converging, whether it is data, information, technology. Uh, so it's slightly a confusing state for me to actually answer whether what is going to the future for predictive analytics or analytics in specific, because the way I see is we have already gone through a significant amount of change as far as technology is concerned. We have Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, self-drive cars. There's a lot of technological advancement which has already happened. So the way I see is, there's a huge and a significant impact on the entire mankind in general. The society has changed. The way we deal with information has changed. When way back, in our careers, if we had to seek answers, there was a different method we used to apply. And now the methods have completely changed. So there's a very, very significant shift on society, on mankind, whether it is data analytics. What I really believe is going forward, there is going to be a lot of convergence of all this. And then there's one single, whether we call it one data, single source of truth, or basic data, whatever it is, which will make use of all these applications in an integrated fashion and helps us to live our lives better, helps us to make more informed decisions, helps us to increase our profits, etc., etc. Because it's a very, very significant shift, which we are going to be seeing on whether it is analytics or it's technology.
Thank you. So now we have covered all the three stages, what, why, and the way forward. I will now open the floor for questions. Please raise your hand, ask your question, and in case you want any specific panel member to ask, please name the panel member. Otherwise, any one of us would take the question. One in the front row, please.
Good evening. All the eminent panel members have stressed on the importance of the quality of data and how instrumental. All the eminent panel members, they have stressed on the quality of data and how instrumental it is in determining the success of the predictive analytics system. At the same time, a lot of organizations are more and more careful about the privacy and the ownership of the data. So how important it becomes for the companies to ensure that the data that is being fed into the predictive analytics system is in alignment with the data privacy laws.
I think the data privacy piece is something which you are very, very conscious of, and we take care of that in each instance. But I think the data quality and data privacy should not be mixed. Data quality does not mean if we are asking for more data. Data quality means that whatever the data that you're getting, that is accurate, that is precise when you're getting it, right? And then the unambiguous is I would say, is also one of the most important variable there. But that has nothing to do from a privacy point of view. They are two disconnected pieces in my view.
So I have a viewpoint here, and I agree with Vivek as well, that privacy is something which is slightly different than the data quality. The way to look at this is the more data that you have, the more insights that you are trying to make, the more known you are, let's say, in the market. For example, why Google and why Facebook, are prone to data privacy concerns. Now, let me put it this way, is because the amount of data that all of these guys have. So once you have richness of the data, whether it is quantity and quality, you may be more prone to privacy concerns. There it becomes all the more important in terms of making your data systems more secure, so that whatever data that you are managing is not actually going out of the hand. I think a couple of days back there was this concern wherein a lot of US officials had their private information leaked right? I don't know whether it was a Russian hacker or no. So that's where it becomes all the more important that you start investing in allocating responsibilities and accountabilities in terms of who manages that data, providing there is a significant governance and transparency in the system as well, and considerable amount of security built in your systems. So I think these two are different things, quality and privacy, but at the same time, the amount of data that you capture and the sensitivity of data determines the security or privacy systems that you need to build in your organization.
Sir, I have a question. My question is for Mr. Khan. Sir, you were talking about one product, Honda Connect, and this question is more related to the previous question only. So, sir, a couple of months back, I was going through one product. It is a product of a US-based company, Progressive. Progressive Snapshot is one such product which tracks the driving behavior of vehicles, the braking pattern, the speed pattern, and the lane changing behavior, and based on that, there is a differential insurance. So, in that product, sir, there were two major concerns. One was the privacy concern that users were not ready to share their location details, their driving behavior details with the company or with the insurance companies. And second, sir, the detection was also poor. Like if I'm driving in a heavy traffic, I'll be using brakes more frequently. So the ratings given by the device were very poor. So what are your views on it? How can this be solved?
So thank you very much for your question. I think both are very relevant question, and no matter how good we are in terms of providing a solution and using the technology, there are always technology glitches. I do not know how many of us have taken some kind of loan or not, but if we go, we sign a docket, we just don't see at it and we just keep on signing. With the burst of the technology in our day-to-day life, probably 100 times a day, you are signing something that I agree to various kind of sites that you are going. Now, when you are signing that you agree, it's not giving a license to the data user to use it the way he wants. There are certain regulations behind it. So, for example, the data that we are generating, there are various clauses in what conditions we can use what kind of data, and what kind of data privacy is reserved with the customer. It would be difficult for me to elaborate at this forum, but yes, the data can be used, cannot be used. You have to read the terms and conditions very carefully before you say agree to it. Second, I told you that there is a difference between magic and analytics. And analytics is limited or subject to certain conditions under which it is actually operating. So for example, you are driving through the lanes of Delhi 6 and applying the brake quite frequently, and you are termed as a bad driver. Probably it will not serve the purpose. So the people who are collecting the data and taking the decision accordingly, they need to be mindful about the prevailing conditions where the decision need to be taken. So it's not a kind of thumb rule that you are having that kind of data and it can be applied universally. So the organizations who are utilizing that information, they are mindful about the facts and preconditions to take a considered decision about the impact that it's going to have on the end customer.
Good evening, sir. My question is to all of you. It's if with the advent of IoT, there's a lot of data that we are facing at the same time, and we're directly connected to the sources. But how IoT is impacting the RAC that we were talking about, the quality of the data, the accuracy and everything, how it is impacting the data, and then how is it facilitating the predictive analysis and improving our inference from it?
So, can I? Yeah, sorry. So Jiten make this very significant point of RAC. And I talked about the source of the data. Now the fact is that the data can be generated by human, by the system. As long as it is generated by system, the possibility and the chances of RAC is higher. Whereas when the data is generated by human, it's lesser or prone to certain kind of error. With the system becoming more and more automated and the source of data is becoming more and more automated, it means the reliability, accuracy and consistency of data is going to improve, and that will yield into better predictive analytics. That's how I look at it.
Good evening, sir. My question is to Mr. Singh, sir, and Jitendra, sir, as well. As you rightly said that on one side there is data and on the other side there's a user. And you said that the data analytics can influence customer behavior. So how can it influence the customer behavior, or how can it make the customer aware about the data?
Hello. So once we have the data of the users, so basically it learns the behavior of the user. How, suppose in e-commerce, so it is having their profile information, and they keep tracking what exactly they are searching, what kind of, what is the routine, how many times in a day they are searching, what kind of product they are searching, right? So then they do the complete, and the back end, it's an analysis. So it is based on the textual analysis or some of the frequency analysis, where it finds the matching. Okay, which kind of product this person is searching again and again, right? And it keeps on adding in the profile. And this profile, once the profile is created, then it automatically recommends the relevant products. So basically this is a learning of consumer, learning of user. And so once it will learn, right, then how the data says about the user, right? So when we see the bigger picture, billions of users, then we will say these many products viewed by these many users, and these are the products which are sold these many times, right? So now this information is telling to the other users, this is the phenomena of the products. So this is the way to tell, the data is telling. By the taking of all the users' data, and now data is delivering the information. This is the story behind the e-commerce website, is this particular website.
Let me share a very interesting example. I read it somewhere in a case study. There was this fast-moving restaurant which was placed in a mall. Okay, so they started collecting data. So there was, an information technology organization which implemented all this data. And incidentally, the competitor was also present in that mall, and the competitors. The information was also available through external data to this particular organization and the technology implementer as well. So based on the data, what these guys figured out is when a consumer walks into the mall, based on the past patterns and behavior of the consumer, 90% of the time he walks into the competitor's store and buys a burger or let's say a pizza. That's something which data threw. So this information was being shared with this client, and they wanted to do something, right? Because now the data is there, and they have also shared the predicted information as well, that the moment a consumer is going to walk in with XYZ behaviors and parameters and patterns, 90% of the time they're going to walk into the competitor store and buy a pizza or a burger. So what they did is, they implemented a scheme, a technological scheme. The moment someone walks in to the mall, they get an alert message on SMS, on the phone saying that there's a 15% additional discount if you buy from me. So what it does is, the moment I walk into the mall, I have an intention to buy it from the competitor, but at the same time, what it does is there is a message which is triggered which says that there's a 15% additional discount, and then there's a cheaper price as well. So what it does is it tries and influences the behavior of the consumer. So if I'm a price-sensitive consumer, immediately I have a look saying that, oh, this is 15% cheaper. I don't have to go to the competitor. Let me just turn my back and I go and kind of consume the product which is for client A. So if you see, the availability of the data and the prediction ability of the data has influenced the behavior of the consumer in some form or the other. So that's the most recent example that I could think. That's the reason, why I said that, for data has the ability to influence behaviors, whether it is for employee, it is for vendors, or consumers.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is basically for Mr. Vivek Jain and Mr. Jitendra Parihar. Sir, we talked about predictive analytics in HR and also the attrition rates. Sir, do we really have a predictive analytics system that can provide real-time results so as to analyze how long an employee will remain in an organization? If yes, then how do we do it? And if no, then is it the next big thing that can really, in the recent times, because considering the attrition rates?
We have not really tried that yet. I think there are companies who have actually looked at it. And I know one of our clients probably was trying something in-house. They're trying to predict attrition rates before they hire. So they were trying to look at people when they hire, what is the chance of how many years he will stay with us. But I guess most recruiters do this in any case. When they look at a CV, they look at the pattern in terms of have you quit previous organizations in less than a year? And that's a warning sign. And I have done this as a hiring manager as well. So when I'm looking at a CV and I see 2 changes less than a year, it's a warning sign. It's a warning sign. And it's essentially tells you that either the person is he has too over-ambitious, or he doesn't know what he's looking at. So in a way, it's a warning sign. But if the other things match, you may still go ahead and hire the same person. So yes, but your point is yes, from a predictive point of view, we have not looked at the problem yet.
So right now, this question is not being answered from an analytical, I would say, viewpoint. But this question is being answered based on gut feeling, right? As Vivek was saying that, you look at the number of moves that someone has made. My personal experience has been that, it may be right, it may be wrong as well. Right, I may not be able to predict whether this guy is going to shift the third role as well in the next 6 months, because we need to really see that the workforce has really changed. There's a lot of dynamicism which has come into the workforce. We are dealing with a different generation which has different aspirations and motivations. Probably someone who worked in one organization for 5 years, and if he change 2 jobs in next 6 to 1 month, that I may still think some sort of prediction ability can get applied. But now we are talking about a demographic, which is very, very different. So the motivations are very different. I may not be able to predict based on the gut. That's number one. Second is, I do not think, I'm not aware, for neither as a consultant nor as a HR professional, that there is an organization which has been able to predict. Although there are a lot of, I would say, advancements which organizations have made in terms of some bit of data trend, which can actually comment on the possibility but not predict. When I was back in college, then we were working on something called as early warning system. Early warning attrition system. That was the closest to a prediction system, right? So what we did is we used to look at different parameters. One could be, the absenteeism rate. Second could be, my satisfaction rate, employee engagement surveys, my ratings, the number of conflicts that I've had. So these were the various parameters and information which was available, which could possibly tell me that, I may try it or no. But again, it cannot predict. However, I still feel that, with the Internet of Things, augmented reality, for data science, and a lot of other technologies coming into picture right now, the possibility of predicting this is very, very high. Let me give you an example. HR managers come to campus, they invest one complete day, they take a lot of group discussions, personal interviews, and then they hire someone, right? Tomorrow, what if that there is no need for an HR manager to come to campus and hire? What it does is, there is a video interview which can happen, right? So all of you guys can actually go through a video interview. There is a technology which possibly scans your facial expressions, your body language, for choice of the words, because it defines the articulation ability as well, right? And looks at your previous experiences, qualifications, etc., and makes a comment at the end of it saying that this guy is a potential candidate or we have hired this one person. So what it really does is it has really predicted who is the right fit, and second one is at the same time, it has eliminated the need for an HR manager as well. So I think there's no clear-cut answer to this question, but a lot of organizations, including our organization, are trying to be closer to that possibility of predicting something.
I'd like to add in this that a general principle that everyone has to rise to his incompetency level. So if you feel that your subordinate is not challenged enough as far as competency is concerned, he is going to leave. So try to keep him challenged and stretched up to his competency level. That is a thumb rule that we apply.
Since we are talking in the context of analytics, it's very important to understand, and I think I have previously said this as well, that the data has to be seen in context, and the predictive analytics has also to be seen in context. Because if the context is missing, we may end up making wrong decisions and saying that it's not serving the purpose. So for example, predicting that an employee will leave or not depends on various other conditions beyond just capturing the data. So the kind of economy you are living in. So for example, you are living in an emerging economy versus a developed economy, for example, Japan and US and India. And India too, in 2016 or 2001, when there was a dot-com boom, or the Lehman shock that happened in 2007. So even if people are changing job at that point of time, within a span of 6 months or 1 year, probably is given some kind of discount. But in today's kind of situation, he may not be given that kind of discount. So some human intelligence will always be there. How we are converting that human intelligence into some set of data to be used as an input for the predictive analytics, that will always remain a factor in arriving at any kind of analytics.
Good evening, sirs. So markets today are changing like every second. Sometimes we don't know whether there's a new entrant coming up with a very disruptive product, in the market, which can be, influencing a business. Or maybe there are some M&As happening in the markets. So how predictive analysis can be important in such a rapidly changing scenario?
So if I can attempt this question. You're very right, because there's a lot of significant shift in terms of strategies, economies, businesses as well. When we started looking at analytics, and this also goes back to the first question that you were asking me, saying that analytics say that more than 60% people are still offline, right? We looked at it for like a challenge. So when we got the figure saying that 60% is offline, that means it throws opportunities to you. So one thing is, we wanted to be online because we wanted to reach to a particular consumer, and there we started figuring out that we have reached a saturation in terms of the online reach. And that's what data was clearly telling me, right? If let's say out of X people, if you are reaching out to X minus 10, that's something that you can ultimately achieve. what we did is we started figuring out our strategies based on that data, which is actually the offline size of the market. So health card, if I can comment on our strategy, we moved away from the online strategy. So the sports nutrition, which is available online, we have now gone into the offline business mode, wherein we have started opening retail stores, which are health card stores. We have also started, hiring offline sales guys on our roles. What these guys will do is they'll pick up the product and they'll go to various supplement stores, just like a Coke or a Pepsi is doing, because we have figured out from the data that a large chunk of the portion is still outside the market. So either you bring that market online. If that's something which the data says, then we'll try and attempt that. If the data says that the market continues to be offline, then we are trying to tackle the opportunities through that particular medium. So that's the way we are trying to look at analytics and predictive analytics through this particular example.
If I may add, competition is always going to be there. There will be always new entrants. There will be find new opportunities which they can identify and fulfill better than you can do. Now, what does analytics do is analytics reduces your cost of servicing different segments at different price points. So you can service different segments with more intelligence built into your system. That means you will leave fewer gaps for new entrants to fill in. So if you are good at predictive analytics, if you're good at segmentation, if you're good at servicing different smaller segments you would have otherwise ignored, you are leaving fewer gaps. That means lesser competition in the future. But that only depends on how well you service your existing market and segment and differentiate yourself in those segments. There will always be competition because someone will definitely believe that they can service it better. But if you have preempted it, if you have segmented your market to millions times and service each one of those segments profitably by doing more efficient delivery of service, you can still ward off competition. Yeah.
My question is to Dr. Shailendra Singh. In good old BI days, we used to have Informatica data quality to ensure the data consistency. At least it used to work well for old data. So in big data times, how do we ensure data quality? Is it to go via that IDQ path or like something else? How to ensure the data quality in big data times?
So in big data, we have to drive the methods to handle missing values. So, as a method we have to implement in big data so that we can handle the not available data. So it will not be accurate, but it will give some base where the data is missing, right? So also, if we see in terms of BI, so BI is a reporting framework, right? So here we are not finding out any interrelation of the data, how data elements are affecting our decisions. So suppose in a class, out of 50 students, 30 are present. So it will say 60%, right? So 20, whether they are absent, so because their presence is not there. So we just calculated the average. So big data and BI, but the data quality is in the sense, if we are having the unstructured data, right? So our system should be able to clearly quantify that unstructured data so that when it will merge structured and unstructured data, it will give the right picture. But in case of predictive, missing values and other issues in the data, we have to handle carefully.
Okay, thank you very much for those questions. We now close the session. In case you have any questions, you can take them offline.
On On behalf of everyone present here, I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Shailendra Singh, Mr. Hilal Khan, Mr. Jitendra Panihar, Mr. Vivek Jain, and Colonel V.K. Verma for taking out time from their busy schedule and sharing their thought-provoking insights with all of us. Thank you for the valuable knowledge that you have imparted to us through this discussion. I'm sure that we shall keep in our minds all that you have said and imbibe this knowledge into our decisions as future managers. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Himanshu Joshi for consenting to be the moderator for the session and conducting the session in a highly coordinated manner.
Let us have a look at the key insights from this session. According to Mr. Vivek Jain, analytics is core to existence for a firm and their business data is the heart of their business case. Whereas Mr. Hilal Khan was of the view that analytics is not an option, it is a compulsion. Dr. Shailendra Singh said that there is a direct relation between informed decisions and growth of a business, and analytics is playing a major role in it. Colonel V.K. Verma was of the view that heart of data analytics is in the raw data that you capture. And finally, Mr. Jitendra Panihar was of the view that the fundamentals of analytics is data. Data is mysterious, and this mystery leads to curiosity. Now, as a memoir, we would now request our esteemed panelist and our moderator to sign the Conventus mug and write a small message for us.
Now we would like to present the distinguished speakers for the session with a small token of our appreciation. Dr. Shailendra Singh, sir, kindly accept the memento as a gesture of our appreciation. I would request Professor Himanshu Joshi to do the honors. Mr. Hilal Khan, sir, we were honored to have you with us today. Kindly accept the memento as a gesture of our appreciation. I would request Professor Prerna Lal to do the honors. Mr. Jitendra Panihar, it was a privilege listening to you, sir. Kindly accept the memento as a token of our appreciation. I will request Professor Arvind Chaturvedi to do the honors. Mr. Vivek Jain, sir, we were honored to have you with us today. Kindly accept the memento as a token of our appreciation. I would request Professor Pinaki Das Gupta to do the honors. Colonel V.K. Verma, it was a privilege listening to you, sir. Kindly accept the memento as a gesture of our appreciation. I would request Professor Arvind Chaturvedi to do the honors. Professor Himanshu Joshi, sir, we were honored to have you with us today. Kindly accept the memento as a token of our appreciation. I would request Nilima Jain, Secretary of the Information Management and Analytics Club, to do the honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we conclude the session of the IMAC Summit. We are sure that the session has been very enlightening for each and every one of you present here. On behalf of the Information Management and Analytics Club of IMI, I would like to take this opportunity to commend all the guests, participants, speakers, professors, students, and staff of IMI for making the session an unparalleled success, as well as the media persons for covering the event. We would also like to thank our sponsors for helping us in this endeavor. Our sponsors are co-sponsored by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, powered by Panasonic Smartphones, beverage partner Hector Beverages, food partners Pat and Harry, Burger.in, nutrition partner India Gate, website partner Acunity Software Private Limited. Other sponsors are American Express, Cat B, Respite Holdings, Safe Pocket Money, NTPC, Allahabad Bank, Punjab National Bank, Pizza Hut, and Uber. Thank you all. We request the guests to proceed to the lobby area for snacks and tea. Students are requested to stay back.